Hello there, this is WION The World is One. We are glad you're watching. Time now for Race to Power. I'm Eric Njoka. Welcome to the show. We begin this broadcast with some breaking news from Iran. Iran has reportedly agreed to a long-term nuclear freeze instead of a long-term disarmament. This according to a report by Al Arabiya. The outlet claims that it has obtained Iran's amended proposal to the United States. According to the report, Iran has agreed to transfer the enriched uranium to Russia instead of the United States. Remember, Iran has previously transferred the uranium stockpile to Russia under Obama-era Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Meanwhile, Iran's state-affiliated media has claimed that Iran's right to enrich uranium is non-negotiable under Non-Proliferation Treaty. Russia has already expressed its readiness to welcome any concessions on nuclear program that Iran makes voluntarily. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says Iran has every right to enrich uranium, but Moscow will not intrude into this negotiation process.
Therefore, our position now remains the same as when that document, 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, was agreed upon. It is that we will support any resolutions that the negotiating parties themselves, in this case the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran, agree to and are willing to accept.
The latest reports come after Iran announced that it has given an amended peace proposal to the United States via Pakistan. The US is yet to provide its official response to Iran's counter-proposal for long-term peace. Mr. Dov Zakhaim is a former Undersecretary of Defense in George W. Bush administration and currently a senior advisor at Center for Strategic and International Studies. He's now joining us live on the broadcast from Washington, D.C. Mr. Dov Zakhaim, it's good to see you. Let's just talk about what really happened over the past week. And Donald Trump was in China. Do you actually think that the China visit by Trump had an impact on the decisions that the U.S. president will make going forward on Iran?
It might. China, as you know, has been supplying Iran, it turns out, even with equipment, not just with components. But Mr. Trump clearly wanted to have a decent resolution, a decent summit, a calming down of the trade issues. And to that extent, he certainly succeeded. It was more of a boring summit than anything else, which I think is what Mr. Trump wanted. What Mr. Trump also did, though, on his Truth Social was give the Iranians until Tuesday, or else he threatened to go back to war. And my guess is this is why Iran came up with its latest counter-proposal. The question really remains, first of all, what does Mr. Trump feel about the fact that the Strait of Hormuz situation has not been resolved? Secondly, will he accept the proposal, which seems an awful lot like the Obama JCPOA, the nuclear deal, without any reference either to missiles or to proxies? And so, again, we have to see, because Mr. Trump seems to make his policies, or rather announce them on Truth Social, we have to see how he'll react. Thus far, each time...
Mr. Zakhaim, let's talk about that conversation on Truth Social and the engagement between Trump and also Iran, because both sides have been exchanging words and connotations on social media, especially uranium enrichment and transferring nuclear material, now that Iran has confirmed that it will send its nuclear material to Russia. What do you read between the lines in this conversation between Trump and Iran?
Well, I think the Iranians essentially wouldn't mind if they waited out until, frankly, Trump's economic problems, and as you know, the United States is suffering from rather high inflation right now, and there's a lot of discontent with Mr. Trump. His popularity is very, very low. It keeps dropping. So the Iranians, I think, would hope to pressure Mr. Trump economically. And of course, they still are preventing pretty much most traffic, including Chinese traffic, by the way, through the Strait of Hormuz. For Mr. Trump, he's made it very clear, he actually said so, that whatever difficulties the American consumer might have, his number one priority is stopping the nuclear program. Now, whether it'll satisfy him to have the Iranians ship their uranium to Russia, or whether he will feel that's not enough, that's an open question. One question, of course, is he ready to accept something very similar to what Mr. Obama had? He's going to try to show that he did more than Obama did. Question is, how much more?
Mr. Zakaim, let's talk about what is really happening tomorrow, because after China-US reset, President Putin is heading to Beijing for the Sino-Russian strategic refresh. The Kremlin says that they have high expectations from meeting between Xi and Putin. Your thoughts? What do you think both leaders will talk about?
Well, I suspect the first thing they'll talk about is Ukraine. The Chinese are supporting Russia, as, by the way, are the Iranians, and the Russians are supporting Iran. I mean, this is very much a coalition, if it maybe not a formal alliance, but certainly a coalition, and certainly if you include North Korea as well. I suspect that will be the highest priority discussion. Russia continues to provide China with oil. Question then will be, will it come at a discount or not? Because the price of oil has skyrocketed, which strengthens Mr. Putin's hand somewhat. But Putin needs help on the Ukrainian war. Those two subjects, the price of oil and the continued Chinese support over Ukraine, is exceedingly important. They'll talk about Iran, of course, but again, Russia is openly supporting the Iranians. China is quietly supporting the Iranians, so perhaps they'll be strategizing how they can support Iran to get its own way vis-a-vis the United States. One complication, of course, is that China needs oil from the Persian Gulf. And the Iranians made clear that they will not tolerate Chinese escorting Chinese ships into the Strait of Hormuz. So that gives China a bit of pause as well, and I suspect they and the Russians will talk about that.
All right, Mr. Dov Zakaim, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for all your insights and for talking to us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's move on now. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in the midst of a political crisis that could cut short his time at number 10 Downing Street. Starmer's former ally and Health Minister Wes Streeting has thrown his hat in the ring and says he is in the race to challenge Starmer's leadership. After announcing his candidature, Streeting chose to reopen the wounds of Brexit. The Labour leadership candidate is proposing a Brentry, Britain's re-entry into European Union. Streeting says the UK should pursue a new special relationship with the EU and potentially rejoin the bloc in the future.
The biggest economic opportunity we have is on our doorstep. We need a new special relationship with the EU because Britain's future lies with Europe and one day, back in the European Union.
This proposed reversal of Brexit may end up shaping the Battle of Makerfield, which is a by-election that is getting national attention in the United Kingdom. Another potential Starmer challenger, Andy Burnham, is seeking entry into the British Parliament from this seat. Britain's rising conservative force, Reform UK, has warned the voters of Makerfield that Labour will drag Britain closer to EU. However, Burnham distanced himself from Streeting's stance. Burnham says that while there was a case to rejoin the EU in the long term, he was not campaigning on the issue in the by-election. Meanwhile, the embattled Starmer has refused to budge. He has vowed to get on with the job. Starmer says he is focused on serving Britain and carrying out his duties as Prime Minister. Makerfield will go to polls on or around the 18th of June. Andy Bannon's return to Parliament and then his potential challenge to Starmer's leadership depends on the outcome of this by-election. That makes it one of the most consequential electoral battles in Britain. A classified Pakistani diplomatic cable published in full by a media outlet now seems to show how US handled Pakistan and put pressure for the ouster of Imran Khan as a prime minister. Dropsite has released the original cipher Cable I-0678, which talks about how Khan angered US for the first time in 2021. Then CIA Director William Burns had flown to Islamabad to meet the then prime minister. He wanted to secure Pakistan territory for US drone bases to use against targets in Afghanistan after the planned American withdrawal. But the meeting never happened, as the Prime Minister's office, citing protocol, said Khan would only take calls from his counterparts. In an interview with Axios that month, Khan said he was never going to allow any sort of action from Pakistani territory against Afghanistan. The cable suggests that Pakistan's military at the time concluded that he was isolating the country. It also claims that in July of the same year, and without the then Prime Minister's knowledge, a former Central Intelligence Agency Islamabad station chief was retained as a lobbyist in Washington. It was an early sign that Pakistan's generals were beginning to move independently of their own elected government. According to the leaked document, Russia's invasion of Ukraine further worsened things. On the 24th of February in 2022, the day of the full-scale invasion, Khan was in Moscow despite US pressure to cancel the trip. A leaked call reported by Dropsite allegedly shows that then US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan urged Pakistan to clearly align with the US on the Ukraine war, but that then Prime Minister reportedly did not comply. In fact, days later, Pakistan abstained from the United Nations General Assembly resolution condemning the invasion, joining China, India, and much of the global south. The leaked document talks about the March 2022 meeting between Pakistan's ambassador in Washington, Asad Majid Khan, and Donald Lu, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs. According to the cable, Lu told the ambassador that Washington's grievances with Islamabad could be set aside. All will be forgiven if Khan were removed from office through a no-confidence vote. Khan was removed on April 9th in a no-confidence vote backed by Pakistan's military. His party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, was subsequently outlawed, stripped of its electoral symbol ahead of the 2024 general elections, and barred from fielding candidates under its own banner. He, along with his wife Bushra Bibi, were jailed on a series of corruption, contempt, and national security charges. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's testimony in his ongoing criminal trial has been cancelled. This after his legal team informed the Jerusalem District Court that he is required to attend a series of high-level security and diplomatic meetings throughout the day. According to his lawyer, the Prime Minister's schedule remains packed with official engagements until late tonight, and a confidential copy of the day's agenda has also been submitted to the court. However, a hearing in the case is still scheduled to take place tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, a new poll has revealed growing distrust among Israeli youth towards the country's leadership. According to findings released by the National Student and Youth Council, fewer than 1 in 4 Israeli teenagers say they trust national decision makers. The study examined the emotional well-being and outlook of Israeli teenagers during wartime. Based on responses from more than 2,100 participants, only around 22% expressed clear trust in Israeli leaders, while just 27% felt elected leaders were fulfilling their responsibilities effectively. 51% said they do not trust national leaders. The survey also points to frustration among young Israelis over their limited role in shaping national decisions. More than 80% believe young people should have a greater voice in decision-making, but only about 37% feel their opinions are genuinely being heard. The Palestinian Fatah party seems to be priming itself for hereditary succession. Yasser Abbas has won a seat on the Central Committee of the Fatah party. He happens to be the son of Palestinian National Authority President and Fatah party leader Mahmoud Abbas. Yasser Abbas won a seat on the Fatah party's 18-member Central Committee on Sunday. This was after the party held its first Congress in a decade. Fatah held its 8th General Conference in the city of Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. It began on Thursday and ended on Sunday. Most members of the party's Central Committee retained their positions, including 90-year-old Mahmoud Abbas, who was re-elected as the movement's leader. Mahmoud Abbas had appointed his son Yasser to the Central Committee 5 years ago as his special representative. And now the 64-year-old Yasser, who happens to be a multi-millionaire businessman and who reportedly spends most of his time in Canada, had officially been elevated into Fatah's Central Committee. Yasser Abbas may not succeed his father as the head of Fatah immediately. Others, more senior party leaders, are higher in line to succeed the 90-year-old Abbas. But Yasser's presence in the Central Committee implies that eventually he may take over the movement that his father has steered for over 2 decades. Peru is heading for a high-stakes presidential runoff. It took over a month to tally all the ballots. The first round of the presidential election was marred by delays in voting and counting and allegations of irregularities. Now the stage is set for the final showdown for Peru's presidency. Right-wing candidate Keiko Fujimori and leftist Roberto Sanchez will clash in the presidential runoff scheduled for the 7th of June. Keiko Fujimori is the daughter of late former President Alberto Fujimori. She secured first place in the first round of the presidential election with 17.1% of the vote. Roberto Sanchez finished second with 12%. Peru's ultra-conservative candidate Rafael Lopez Aliaga missed out on the runoff by just about 21,000 votes.
Yo creo que mal le hace a la democracia.
This election is not about me. It is not about a dispute between ideologies. It is not about a struggle between Lima and the regions. It is not about Fujimorism versus anti-Fujimorism. It is about choosing between continuing to live in chaos or restoring order.
We must defeat the corrupt mafia that currently rules Peru. Down with the Mafia Pact. Down with the corrupt government. Down with Fujimorism.
Lopez Aliaga has rejected the results. He claims that the election was tainted by fraud and corruption. In a post on social media, he vowed to challenge what he called a grave crime of treason against Peru. This year's election is unfolding against a backdrop of deep political instability. Peru has had 8 presidents since 2016. Most of them are forced out, impeached, or they resigned amid corruption allegations. A massive political showdown is unfolding in the Philippines. Vice President Sara Duterte is staring at the biggest battle of her career, an impeachment trial that could either end her political future or make her even stronger. The Philippine Senate will convene as an impeachment court to hear the case against her. Sara Duterte faces accusations of corruption, unexplained wealth, and threatening top officials, including President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. She denies all charges, but the real battle is political, involving 2 of the Philippines' most powerful dynasties. Sara Duterte and Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ran together in the 2022 elections, combining the influence of the Duterte and Marcos families. But the alliance quickly collapsed, turning into an open and vicious rivalry. The tensions escalated further after the Marcos administration handed over former President Rodrigo Duterte to the International Criminal Court over his war on drugs. Now his daughter's political survival is on the line. Just days before the impeachment process moved forward, pro-Duterte Senator Ronald De La Rosa dramatically resurfaced from hiding to help install a Duterte ally as Senate President, a move that could tilt the trial in her favor. De La Rosa, wanted by the International Criminal Court over his role in former President Duterte's deadly war on drugs, reportedly fled again after scenes of panic and gunfire near the Senate. Now, with the Senate deeply divided and Duterte loyalists holding crucial numbers, the impeachment trial is shaping up as a political showdown that could redefine the future of Philippines politics.
Your Honor, the Senate is in the case of resolution pending court.
Malaysia is heading for snap polls. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim hinted that he may choose to hold general elections soon after recent moves by other parties in his ruling coalition. The issue surfaced on Saturday when the Barisan Nasional bloc said it would contest all 56 seats in the state of Johor. This prompted Anwar to say that his Pakatan Harapan alliance was prepared for a full-scale electoral fight. Both the Pakatan Harapan and the Barisan Nasional blocs are part of the unity government in Malaysia. If they split, Anwar will no longer have a parliamentary majority. Malaysia is not scheduled to have a general election till 2028, but this weekend's friction has given rise to speculation that snap polls may take place, and the speculation intensified after Anwar met the King of Malaysia, Sultan Ibrahim Iskandar, earlier today. Anwar would need consent from the King to hold early elections. The King confirmed that the meeting took place, but a palace official called it routine. If snap polls take place, Anwar Ibrahim may also face a challenge from two of his former cabinet ministers, former economy minister Rafizi Rabni and former environment minister Nick Nazmi. Left Anwar's People Justice Party on Sunday. They are taking over a small party called the Malaysian United Party. In another blow to the AIADMK, veteran leader S. Semalai has resigned from the party, citing the growing internal rift. Semalai is a former Tamil Nadu health minister, a former member of parliament, and a former MLA. He joined the AIADMK back in the 1980s. Before he tendered his resignation, he was counted among the loyalists of AIADMK General Secretary Edapadi Palaniswamy. But after handing in his resignation letter, Semalai said the senior party leaders, including EPS, needed to set aside their egos and sort out the issues in the party. Factionalism has broken out in the AIADMK since the Tamil Nadu Assembly election. The party won 47 seats in the election, ending up in third place. After the results, 25 MLAs led by C.V. Shanmugam decided to support the new VJ-led TVK government. They defied orders from AIADMK General Secretary EPS and supported VJ during his floor test on May 13th. This led to EPS expelling the rebel MLAs from the party, but the rebel faction has not accepted this. They are mounting a challenge to EPS, gathering signatures to call for an AIADMK General Council meeting. Without a reconciliation between the factions, the party could be headed for a leadership change or even another split. The party has already seen a major split since the demise of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and the party's Supremo. In his resignation letter, Semalai warned that fate of the party was in danger and hinted that it may even dissolve altogether. The Nepalese government has formed a high-level committee to probe allegations of financial irregularities linked to former Home Minister Sudan Gurang. This comes weeks after Gurang tendered his resignation over the issue. The Nepal cabinet has formed a 3-member investigation committee under a former High Court judge. The committee will probe allegations raised publicly during and after Sudan's tenure as Home Minister, the Prime Minister's office has said that the panel has been asked to submit its report within 15 days. According to reports, the ruling Rashtriya Swatantra Party will only come to a decision only after the investigation report is submitted. Nepal's Prime Minister, Balendra Shah, continues to handle the Home Ministry along with two other ministries. The 38-year-old Gurung came under scrutiny after questions were raised over his shareholdings to a company associated with businessman Deepak Bhatt. Reports also linked him to a money laundering case. Following this, Gurung resigned as Home Minister, saying that he stepped down to allow a fair and impartial investigation. And for more details on that report, our correspondent Saloni Murarka has sent us this report from Kathmandu.
Former Home Minister Sudan Gurung is officially under investigation as probe against him begins. The Balendra Shah-led government formed a 3-member committee to investigate allegations surrounding Gurung's assets and business links. Questions were raised after Gurung publicly disclosed his property details, with allegations like unusual wealth accumulation and links with a businessman who is currently in custody on a money laundering investigation. Gurung, who resigned from his position last month, welcomes this investigation and insists that the truth will come out. But the political stakes are high. This government is yet to appoint a new Home Minister, and sources say that this decision entirely depends on the outcome of this probe. Meanwhile, security agencies claim that transfers and promotions of police officials are stuck as Prime Minister Balendra Shah continues to hold this ministry under him. I'm Saloni Murarka, reporting for WION from Kathmandu, Nepal.
And that's the latest on Race to Power on WION World is One. Thank you for watching. I'm American Joker. Do stay with us.
India's Global Voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Vielleicht nur als Impostant.
And welcome back. Thanks very much for staying on with us.
You are watching WION Fine Print. I'm Body Gambhir, and we are starting off with a quick look at the top stories making headlines. Reports say Iran has agreed to a long-term nuclear freeze instead of a long-term disarmament. Iran has reportedly agreed to transfer the enriched uranium to Russia instead of the United States. This as Iran responded to the US peace proposal. The Polish Prime Minister says transatlantic unity must survive the current difficult time, as he stressed on the importance of Warsaw's ties to Washington after the Pentagon cancelled plans to deploy 4,000 US-based troops to Poland. Kiev says Russia struck the Ukrainian cities of Odessa and Dnipro in missile and drone attacks that damaged residential buildings and injured dozens of people, and Russian officials reported 2 deaths in Ukrainian drone strikes on Russia. The UK Prime Minister insists his premiership is not over and said he wants to lead the Labour Party into the next general election as pressure mounts to quit from within his Labour Party after a set of poor local election results. Deliberations are set to begin in the blockbuster trial putting Elon Musk against AI giant OpenAI and its CEO, whom Musk accuses of abandoning the company's founding mission. The UN Refugee Agency will reportedly need to cut more jobs and make urgent reforms as it faces a fall in funding and foreign aid spending. This as UNHCR faces 15% fall in funding donations. Real Madrid captain will leave the Spanish Giants at the